In the sun-drenched desert town of Oasis Springs, Nevada, Emily Harper woke to the hum of a perfectly curated life. The year was 2025, and Oasis Springs was a meticulously designed community, a retro-modern utopia where mid-century bungalows lined pristine streets, their pastel facades gleaming under the relentless sun. Palm trees swayed gently, and the air carried the faint scent of blooming cacti and chlorine from backyard pools. Every morning, Emily's routine was the same. She'd rise at dawn, slip into a floral dress, and prepare breakfast for her husband, James, a rising executive at Horizon Enterprises, the tech company that ran the town. Emily was 32, with auburn hair that fell in soft waves and eyes that sparkled with a quiet curiosity. She was the ideal housewife, graceful, attentive, and devoted to James, who at 35 was charming, ambitious, and perpetually optimistic. Their marriage was the envy of Oasis Springs, a place where perfection was not just expected but enforced. The community had strict rules. No one worked outside their assigned roles, no one questioned the system, and relationships were to remain strictly monogamous. Break these rules, and the consequences were vague but ominous. This morning, Emily stood in their spotless kitchen, flipping pancakes as James adjusted his tie in the mirror. "You're gonna knock 'em dead at the office today, honey," she said, her voice warm but tinged with a practiced cadence. James flashed his boyish grin. "With your cooking fueling me, how could I not?" He kissed her forehead, grabbed his briefcase, and joined the other husbands filing out of identical homes, climbing into sleek electric cars that glided toward Horizon's glass and steel headquarters on the edge of town. Emily watched him go, waving from the porch as the desert sun cast long shadows. The other wives, Laura, Megan, Sophie, emerged from their homes, exchanging smiles and small talk about garden parties and book clubs. Oasis Springs was a bubble, a place where time seemed frozen in a 1950s dream, yet powered by cutting-edge technology. Drones delivered groceries, AI assistants managed schedules, and every home was wired with smart systems that anticipated residents' needs. It was perfect, too perfect. As Emily tidied the kitchen, a flicker of unease stirred within her. She couldn't place it, but something about the day felt off. A memory tugged at her, a fleeting image of a different life, one with chaos, struggle, and a rawness Oasis Springs lacked. She shook it off, chalking it up to a restless night. After all, she was happy here, wasn't she? That afternoon, Emily joined Laura, her closest friend, for a drive through the desert. Laura was blonde, bubbly, and fiercely loyal, the kind of woman who seemed born for Oasis Springs' polished existence. They cruised in Laura's cherry-red convertible, the radio playing old jazz standards as the desert stretched endlessly around them. The road was empty, flanked by dunes and distant mountains, when Emily noticed something in the sky, a glint like sunlight bouncing off metal. "Laura, look!" Emily pointed as a small plane appeared, wobbling erratically. Its shape was odd, almost toy-like, and it was descending fast. Laura squinted. "What the? That's not one of Horizon's drones." Before Emily could respond, the plane plummeted, crashing into a dune a mile away in a puff of sand and smoke. Emily's heart raced. "We have to help." Laura hesitated, her hands gripping the wheel. "Emily, we're not supposed to leave the road. You know the rules." "Screw the rules. Someone could be hurt." Emily's voice was sharp, surprising even herself. Without waiting, she grabbed her bag, flung open the door, and leapt out, sprinting toward the crash site. The desert was unforgiving, the sand burning through her sandals. As she neared the crash, her breath caught. There was no wreckage, no twisted metal, no flames, nothing, just an empty stretch of sand as if the plane had vanished. Emily spun around, scanning the horizon. The air felt heavy, oppressive, and the silence was unnatural, broken only by the faint hum of something mechanical beneath the ground. Laura caught up, panting. "Emily, what are you doing?" "There's nothing here." "There was something," Emily insisted, her voice trembling. "I saw it crash." Laura's eyes softened, but there was a hint of unease. "Maybe it was a mirage. The desert plays tricks, you know." Emily wanted to argue, but the words caught in her throat. Had she imagined it? As they returned to the car, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong, not just with the crash, but with Oasis Springs itself. That night, Emily couldn't sleep. James was late, as usual, working on a big project at Horizon. She sat on their velvet sofa, staring at the flickering TV, which played endless loops of cheerful commercials for Horizon's products. Smart homes, AI companions, virtual vacations. The ads promised a life without limits, but Emily felt caged. She began noticing small things. The way the neighbors' conversations seemed scripted, the identical cadence in their laughter, the way no one ever talked about their past. Even Laura, her best friend, deflected questions about her life before Oasis Springs. "Oh, it was just normal," she'd say with a shrug. The next day, Emily visited the town's only doctor, Dr. Margaret Ellis, a stern woman with a clipped tone. Emily described her unease, the plane crash, the strange emptiness of the desert. Dr. Ellis listened, her face unreadable, then prescribed pills for anxiety. "You're under stress, dear," she said. "This will help you relax." Emily didn't take the pills. Instead, she snuck into Dr. Ellis's office after hours, driven by a nagging suspicion. The medical records were digital, stored on a sleek tablet, but when Emily accessed her file, it was blank except for a single line. "Patient stable, no prior history." No mention of her life before Oasis Springs, no medical history, nothing. It was as if she'd been born here. Her search for James's file was equally fruitless, blacked-out sections, cryptic codes. But one detail caught her eye, a reference to Project Eden, a Horizon initiative. The name sent a chill through her. What was Project Eden? James's promotion party was the talk of Oasis Springs. The community center was decked out in fairy lights and pastel streamers, the air thick with the scent of barbecue and bourbon. Emily wore a sapphire dress, her smile practiced but strained. She mingled with the other wives, their conversations a loop of recipes and charity events, but her mind was elsewhere. Across the room, she spotted Laura talking to Victor Grant, Horizon's charismatic CEO. Victor was in his late 40s with silver-flecked hair and a smile that disarmed everyone. He was the architect of Oasis Springs, a visionary who turned a patch of desert into a paradise. But tonight, his presence felt oppressive. Emily approached Laura, pulling her aside. "I need to tell you something," she whispered. "That plane crash, it wasn't a mirage, and the records at the doctor's, they're hiding something. I think Horizon's lying to us." Laura's smile faltered. "Emily, you're scaring me. You sound like Sarah." Sarah had been a neighbor, a quiet woman who'd vanished months ago after asking too many questions. Rumors swirled that she'd lost her mind and been sent to a facility. Emily's stomach churned. "What happened to Sarah, Laura? Really?" Laura looked away. She was confused. She needed help, that's all. Emily grabbed her arm. "Don't lie to me, I'm not crazy. Something's wrong here and you know it." Laura yanked free, her eyes wide. "You need to stop this, Emily, for your own good." The next day, Emily's suspicions consumed her. She began tailing Victor, noticing how he slipped away from public events to a secluded office in Horizon's headquarters. One night, she followed him, sneaking past security drones to a hidden elevator. It descended to a basement she didn't know existed, a sterile space filled with humming servers and glowing screens. There, she found a file labeled Project Eden, Virtual Oasis. Her hands trembled as she opened it. The documents revealed a staggering truth. Oasis Springs wasn't real. It was a virtual reality simulation, a digital utopia created by Horizon for wealthy clients who wanted to escape their flawed lives. Participants paid to live as perfect versions of themselves, their memories altered to fit the narrative. The real world was gritty, chaotic, a place where James, in reality, was a low-level coder, not an executive, and Emily was a struggling nurse, not a housewife. The plane crash she'd seen? A glitch in the system, a momentary tear in the simulation. Sarah's disappearance. She'd been reset after uncovering the truth, her mind wiped to keep the secret. Emily's memories began to flood back, her real life, her fights with James, her exhaustion from working double shifts. Oasis Springs was a lie, a gilded cage. Emily confronted James that night, her voice shaking with rage. "This isn't real, James. You trapped me here. You paid for this fantasy." James's face crumpled. "I did it for us, Em. Our real life was falling apart. I wanted to give you everything." "By lying to me. By erasing who I am?" Tears streamed down her face. She grabbed a glass from the table, hurling it at him. It shattered against the wall, and James flinched, his eyes wide with fear. Laura burst in, alerted by the noise. "Emily, stop. You're not well." But Emily was done listening. She ran, her bare feet pounding the pavement as she fled toward the desert. Laura's warnings echoed behind her. "If you leave the system, you'll die in the real world." Emily didn't care. She reached the edge of Oasis Springs, where the simulation's boundary flickered like a mirage. Security drones buzzed overhead, and Victor's voice crackled through a hidden speaker. "Emily, return to your home. This is your only warning." She ignored him, climbing a rocky outcrop. Below, the simulation began to glitch. Houses flickered, the sky warped. Emily's memories surged, vivid and painful, her real life, her strength, her flaws. She wasn't perfect, but she was real. As Emily reached the peak, security guards appeared, their faces blank but menacing. She spotted a control panel embedded in the rock, a failsafe to shut down the simulation. With trembling hands, she smashed it open, wires sparking. The world around her convulsed. Oasis Springs dissolved, revealing a vast warehouse filled with pods, each containing a sleeping person wired to the system. Emily found her pod, ripping out the cables. Pain seared through her as her real body awoke, weak and disoriented. She stumbled through the warehouse, alarms blaring. James appeared, his face pale. "Emily, please, we can go back. It can be perfect again." "No," she said, her voice steady despite her fear. "I'd rather live in the real world, flaws and all." As she fled, security closed in. Laura, revealed as a system enforcer, tried to stop her, but Emily dodged, sprinting toward an exit. The warehouse doors loomed ahead, sunlight spilling through. With a final burst of strength, she broke free, collapsing onto the cracked pavement of a desolate city. The real world was harsh, polluted skies, crumbling buildings, but it was hers. Emily stood, brushing dirt from her hands, and walked into the unknown, free at last.